জয় জয় গোরা চাঁদে আরতি কুশোভা জয় ও জয় পনে জগমনলো ভাজা শিবা দক্ষিণ নিতাই কান মে গদাধর দক্ষিণ নিতাই নিকটে অশ্বেতচিনি বাস ছত্রধারা বাবা সে আছে গোরাটা রত্ন সিংহাসনে বসে আছে আরতি করে না ব্রহ্মা আদি দেবগণে শিবনারা হরি আদি করে তোমার ঢুলায় সঞ্জয় মুকুন্দ ভাসো ঘোষাদিগায় শিব শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে বাজে করতাল বাজে মাধুরা মৃদঙ্গ বাজে পরমরসালা মৃদঙ্গ বাজে মধুর 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 বাজে মধুর 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 বাজে মধুর মধুর শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুর 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 বাজে শঙ্খ বাজে শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুর 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 বাজে শঙ্খ বাজে মাধুর 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 বাজে बहु कोटि चंद्र जिने वदन उज्ज्वला बहु कोटि चंद्र जिने वदन गला देशे वनमाला करे झलमाला देशे वनमाला शिवा शिवा शुकनारदा प्रेमे गदगा शिवा भाकाति विनोदा देखे गौरार संपदा शिवा जायो जायो गौरा चांदे आरती शोभा जायो जायो गौरा चांदे ध्यानावितटवने जगा मनलो भाजा नावितटवने बोल गाइए सब जगा जाना माना लो भा जगा जाना माना गौरांगेरारते कौशभा जगा जनमाना लोभा गौरांगे जगा जनमा गौरांगेरारते कौशभा जगा जनमाना लोभा गौरांगेरा हर बोल जगा जगा जाना माना लो बाजा नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमः श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी अच्युतो देशतारिणे जय प्रभुपाद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Hey Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Bol Har Bol Bhaiya Jai Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Raman Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Bolo Radha Raman Hare Govinda Jaya Radha Raman Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Hari Bol Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Oh Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Bala Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Bala Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Bola Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Bola Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Bola Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur. Jai Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Swami Jaya Jagannath. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Swami Jai Jagannath. Jagannath Swami. Jaya Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jai Baladeva. Jaya Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Baladeva, Jai Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami, Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Jagannath Swami Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare. Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar, Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar, Nitai Gaura Sundar, Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jaya Jagannath. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hare Hare Bolo.
नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तविंद की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। वृंद देवी की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन महाराज की जय। कृष्ण बलराम की जय। जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। राधा श्याम सुंदर जी भगवान की जय। राधा माधव जी भगवान की जय। निताई गौर सुंदर भगवान की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। गुरु महाराज की जय। निताई गौर सीतनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, glories, glories to the Guru and Gauranga. All glories, Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanand.
हिरण्याकाशे पूर्वक्षः हिरण्याकाशे पूर्वक्षः शिलटंका नखालये शिलटंका नखालये इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो यतो यतो यामि तोर नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदय नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदय नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदय नरसिंह नरसिंह मदीं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंह मदीं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंह तब कर कमल भरे नाकाम अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलित हिरण्यकशिपु तनो भृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे नभ कर कमल केशवद्रीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवद्रीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय केशवद्रीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय केशवद्रीता जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय सर्ववाद विघ्ननाशक नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरे
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we welcome everyone to New Klinikam Dham, Baltimore, the abode of dear Jagannath Subhadramaya, Nitai Gaur, and most people Shri Radha Madhav. First, I'd like to thank all the pujaris. The deities look so amazing, beautiful. We can loud Haribol for them, please. So, today's feast is cooked solo by none other than Sankirtana Vage Prabhu. So it'll be wonderful, wonderful prashadam. So loud Haribol for him, please. Last week, we have no sponsor today, so Lord Jagannath is going to take care of his own feast. But if anybody likes to sponsor, they can always contact later, no problems. So last week, we had an amazing Rath Yatra. We had almost 2,000 devotees, and a lot of people from outside, around 1,500 people outside were there, so it was magical. I think everything went so well. We'd like to thank you, the city, for giving such a nice arrangement for that. And all of you guys came, so the program was so wonderful. Everything was very wonderful. So thank you so much for coming. But that's just the start of the festivities now, I think. Rath Yatra is an announcement of festivities. Now, this Saturday, Lord Jagannath is traveling to New York City for New York Rath Yatra, one of the biggest Rath Yatra in the West Coast, in US, basically. So we are taking those who are going in the bus. I think they have registered. We'll give you instructions through WhatsApp group or something, what time you have to come. The earlier, the better. And we have a lot of fun in the bus. We have like bhajans, kirtans, quizzes, and then nice prashadam made by our dear Siddhu Prabhu. So it'll be really wonderful. Haribo. And then after that, 2 weeks after that is our very big festival, our 50th year of ISKCON Baltimore Incorporation, which will be, I think, June 24, 25, 26. We call it Madhav Mela. because Radha Madhav 5 years back came to our temple and blessed us with this beautiful, beautiful temple. And of course, Lord Jagannath is our heart and soul, and Lord Nitai Gaur is always there beautiful. But with Radha Madhav, the whole temple has become complete. So they came there. So we're going to celebrate Shri Radha Madhav's installation ceremony with a nice, gorgeous Abhishek. And for the temple incorporation, we're going to have an amazing kirtan, non-stop 2-day kirtan. Friday, we'll have an amazing, amazing Sankirtan in downtown Harinam. So we want as many devotees as possible. Let's rock the whole downtown Baltimore on the 50 years. We'll try to work around 6 o'clock or 6:30. We can work with everybody's schedule because it'll be a tight program. Let's go. Last time, I think Mahavishnu Maharaj was there. It was just amazing how people realized that. And some people said, oh, you Hare Krishnas were there in 70s. What happened? You disappeared from the earth or something? Just like this microphone disappeared. So, yeah, so I think we have to just keep going because this is Prabhupada's mission. Prabhupada always said, Harinam, Prashadam, DT service, where it goes, and book distribution. The temple is complete and flourishing for that one. So we have to make commitment. I think 6 o'clock is very reasonable time so that, because after that, we're going to start a beautiful ceremony called Adivas ceremony. What Adivas ceremony is there? We're going to be welcoming Radha Madhav in a Utsav deity's form ahead, and then we offer and we welcome him. Please come and be part of this celebration. Then we offer them some beautiful, beautiful offerings, some fruit, some other bhoga itself. And then after that will be a kirtan, Adivas kirtan, very soft, mellow kirtan. We'll be going Friday probably till 10, 11, or 12 o'clock. And that's why the next day program will start a little bit late, around 12 o'clock till 8 o'clock, non-stop kirtan. We have amazing kirtanias coming. You know, everybody knows Param and Gaurmani Mataji. She has almost, I think, like 10 million fans or something. And then Gaurvani Prabhu is coming. Shashtivar Prabhu is coming. There's several devotees from Alachuars coming. And then I think there's amazing Kirtan Gopal Prabhu, they're coming. And you know what? We always, Ghar ki murgi dar barabar, right? So our Krishna Prasad Prabhu, how can we forget? One of the most erstwhile, most amazing Kirtane here. So all of them will make a really wonderful thing. And of course, our devotees will be there doing, I think we're going to rock the whole temple there. So we want everyone part of it. There'll be a lot of help with needing. Sidhu Prabhu, of course, will be, cooking everything. So we need as many possible. We're going to talk to Mohit Prabhu to arrange for that. He'll arrange with Sidhu Prabhu what help is needed. Let's make this festival a grand success. Try to keep you that week. Whatever help is needed, we'll try to arrange and work it out for that one. So that will be our plan for that festival. And then after that, festivities continue on. Then we have Janmashtami, Balram Jayanti, and the amazing Radhashtami. Then Kartik comes. Then Bhagavad Gita Jayanti comes. So everything is going on now. So let's get the momentum going for that one. So now I think what we'll do is, we also felt like one of devotees, like to thank you, one of the devotees, who mentioned that, we used to do this chanting together as a japa together. And I think we stop in between, so that's why we're stopping the announcement now. And for 10 minutes, we'll chant around together as a company, because Prabhupada said that who chants together stays together. We want community to stay together and be strong. So we'll chant together one round, and then after that, I will announce we have a very wonderful speaker today. His Grace Premdham Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji. Okay. We can talk off after.
I just want to tell you that we were never, not only that, yesterday we got the message that you have been removed from the Rath Yatra.
Okay.
So I just want to tell you.
Prabhu,
If you don't know, how anybody else will know.
okay, Prabhu. Thank you. I'll talk to person who's organizing and see what's going on, Prabhu. Sorry about that for the inconvenience. We'll work on it.
They never informed what is the price. Syam Pandey informed that he will inform you because price has gone up.
Okay.
And after that, yesterday I came to know bus is full.
Yeah. Next year looks like our congregation is building, so we'll have to take 2 buses, so there's no issues at all. That'll be the best thing to do, because I know a lot of devotees is such much fun, and Kiran Prabhu is always a fun-loving. We have a lot of fun last year, so I apologize, Prabhu. If I could give my seat to so you can come, I'd love to do that, Prabhuji, for that one. Okay, so I think that's the whole thing. Okay, the Premdham Prabhu I was mentioning, he's one of, I think we are so fortunate Krishna has given us Premdham Prabhu. He's just a wonderful, wonderful Sankirtan devotee, amazing book distributor. I think he's like very knowledgeable. He's in Bhakti Shastri now. he did recently the ISKCON Disciple course, and I think in July, and I'll talk to Premdam Prabhu's convenience, many devotees who like to know what is ISKCON, what is relation Prabhupada and Guru, or if they'd like to take initiation near future, ISKCON Disciple course is mandatory. And I think Prabhuji gave a very good class last time. There were almost 20 devotees were there. We'll have one more disciple course probably in the next few months or so. I'll talk to him. He's also running a beautiful Bhakti Shastri here. Bhakti Shastri is one of the requisites for becoming, it's called the real Diksha. Or you get, we get Harinam and then we get Diksha. So that real Diksha when you get is only after the we get the Bhakti Shastris. Prabhuji is doing, and many devotees have really expressed how wonderfully he is doing that. So thank you, Prabhuji, for that one. And I think now let's chant one round together, and then after that we'll hear his wonderful class for that. One other thing, we have set some new kitchen rules to streamline things. I think there's a lot of regularities in that one, so we want to make sure that everything goes smooth. The rules have been posted as you go down several places. Please read the rules and try to follow, help us out. This will help streamline things and make sure everybody gets prasadam and everybody's treated wonderfully for that one. Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare
Are your kids in grades 6 to 11? Harvard has made SAT and ACT score submission optional in its admissions process. If they don't require SAT and ACT scores, how will Harvard and other Ivy League universities choose from 100,000 plus college applicants? You see, the secret to increasing your child's chances of getting into a top university isn't found in these standardized tests. We called it 10 years ago. Colleges are not looking for students that just score 4.0 plus GPAs. In fact, top universities like the USC, Stanford University, Harvard University, Columbia University, etc. are looking for 3 factors. These 3 factors will tell them everything they need to know about your child, and we're not just talking about their GPA or SAT score. How do we know this? Because we've helped over 800 students get into top colleges, even when they had below average test scores and GPAs. And lucky for you, we're inviting you to watch our free webinar titled The 3 Factors That Prevent 6th through 12th graders from Getting into the Colleges They Deserve, even without good GPA and SAT scores. In this webinar, we'll be highlighting the important parts of the college admissions process that are often overlooked, including why approximately 90% of students who get a 4.0 GPA and above are not accepted into Harvard, Stanford, or other top 10 universities, and what to do about it. What universities want in an applicant, but never say. What value-added college planning is, and how it fits into your child's life. We put together the last 10 years of our expert knowledge into this webinar, so you can avoid the critical, common mistakes most parents make that prevent their child from standing out on the college app. Stop worrying about the SAT, ACT, and start changing your child's future. Sign up for our webinar today. Seats are limited, so the earlier you register, the better. You can reserve a spot now using this link.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram,
Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakt Vrinda. Thank you everyone. So I'd like to welcome Grace Prem Dham Prabhu.
Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram.
It's working. Okay. Hare Krishna. So the next song we're going to sing, it talks about the spiritual world and what's happening there. So what's happening in the spiritual world is that there are loving relationships between Krishna and his devotees. So the goal of bhakti and the whole process that we all are practicing is to reawaken our relationship, our loving relationship with Krishna and his devotees. And when that awakens, then our heart becomes happy and we don't need anything else beyond that. So you all believe me? Okay. Okay. So let's sing that song then, okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Labha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yashodhanandana Jaya Brija Jana Ranjana Jaya Yashodhanandana Jaya Brija Jana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yashodhanandana Jaya Brija Jana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Jaya Brija Jana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So we'll briefly talk about stages of bhakti today. Now, Krishna in the 7th chapter, he talks about 4 kinds of people, and he calls them duskritino. So the word kriti can be an activity, and when you put a prefix to it, dush, that means that's a negative connotation to it. It brings a negative connotation to the word kriti. So the activity becomes negative. And many a times it happens that we come across people who have who are determinedly trying to move away from the light, if you could put in a form of an analogy. And they, for example, many times people go to jail. Jail, they call it a penitentiary. You're supposed to go there for repentance. But then they end up learning more tricks in jail to actually become worse when they come out. So that's the attitude of a dushkritino. And Krishna says that they do not surrender to me. That's what Krishna says. If you read the translation, if you see, it says, those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Right? So they are wrong-headed. Those people are wrong-headed. And they get more and more implicated in karma. It's because they're not surrendering. So when we bring out the word surrender, it's kind of very abhorrent in the society. Whenever you think of a word surrender, the picture that comes to your mind is that there is a cop with a gun drawn, and then there is a person standing with his or her hands up. So that's the picture we get. But in the yoga scriptures, in the books, like Patanjali Yoga, for example, Patanjali, he gives a path to surrender, and he says that your success in spiritual life can you can expedite that by surrendering. So the process of surrender is actually glorified in there. Generally, when we talk of surrender, right, many of you might have seen a high-speed chase. Has anybody seen a high-speed chase on TV? Right. So what happens in that? Somebody robs a bank. He gets on the road. His car's, the tank's full, and he's just speeding up away on the highway. And then suddenly there are 10 cops behind him. There are 10 cars behind him. And then there's a helicopter up on the top. They have this telephoto lens, and they can see who's in the car. And suddenly his mom sees on the TV and says, "Oh, that's Stephen. He's that's my Stephen. He robbed a bank, and the whole world is looking at him." And then he finally, the cops throw some nails, and that punctures his tires. Then there are sparks flying out from the rims. And then he turns into alley, side sweeps some cars. And then he reaches a cul-de-sac. And then he leaves the car and he jumps out. And he goes into one backyard and he jumps the fence. And there are 3 dogs that tear apart his pants. And then finally he jumps off another fence. And then there are the cops. There are 10 cops standing there with their guns drawn. And then he goes up like this. That's the surrender you see in a material world. But that's not the surrender that yoga talks about. The surrender that yoga talks about is a voluntary surrender. It comes from the heart. When I have been endeavoring for my entire life, and I see that how I am, being slapped around 24/7 by so many different, you can say, phenomena. It could be my own mind. It could be other people. It could be nature. I plan for a picnic, and then it rains heavily. And everything goes down the drain. So then when we come to a point where, our heart, out of a sense of humility, it comes to a point where we accept that I'm not in control. And that's the point where we surrender. And we say, okay, I'm not in control. So I want to know then who's in control. And, I want to understand the Supreme who's sitting in my heart. Because I keep constantly getting reminders from within that, don't do this, or don't even think about that. But many times I don't listen to that. And that's the super soul trying to speak to us with full conviction. Krishna says this at multiple places actually in Bhagavad Gita. For example, in the 15th chapter, he says, Sarvasya chaham hridaya sanivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That I'm sitting in everybody's heart. And I'm giving them whatever they're looking for. Smriti, remembrance. Apohanam means forgetfulness. So if somebody wants to be forgetful, they want to rob a bank, get up on the highway, that's their choice. But that takes them towards darkness. And then furthermore, in 18th chapter again, Krishna reminds us that Ishvara sarva bhutanam hirdeshe arjuna tishtati. That I'm sitting in everybody's heart, and I'm guiding the wandering soul who's like in a machine. So this body is like a machine. And the soul, that's me, I'm wondering because I have kind of not been reciprocative to the super soul in my heart. So that's that's where and eventually a person reaches. But then coming back to the Dushkritinos, so I put some pictures there, and just to quickly give you these 4 people who are talked about here. So one is just the Mudha, and he's like the beast of burden. I put a picture of a donkey there. No offense intended, but so that's the beast of burden. They don't have any idea of socio-economic, socio-religious scenarios, what's going on out there. Then the other ones that Krishna is talking about are Naradhamas. So Naradhamas are the ones that, they have an understanding of the society, but they have no connection with religion or anything related to spirituality. You will see them as well-dressed gentlemen, but then the moment you talk about spirituality, they'll draw a blank face. They have no idea, or they have zero concern around it. And then there comes an interesting class, Maya Aparta Jnana. So Krishna says that these are the peoples who are very intelligent. They have been given a superior intelligence over because of their karma in the past. You might have heard this many times. Oh, this is his karma, his or her karma. You see people are born in rich families with a silver spoon in their mouths, and they had just to be born in that family. That's all they had to do. And they are rich and famous, and they have tons of money to spend around. So they're born. So, but then so that's a kite. But then there are people who are very intelligent. They can go very deep in a specific subject, physics, chemistry, linguistics. There are so many people who have done PhDs in Bhagavad Gita, and what do they come up with? They come up with saying that, oh, you don't have to surrender to anybody. And now Krishna is saying at so many places, surrender to me, and then they come up with this concept that don't surrender to Krishna. So they're called as Maya Aparta Jnana. Their knowledge has been taken away. Some people even come to a conclusion that you don't have to surrender to anybody. You are God, and eventually surrendering to yourself, it cancels out, and so you don't have to surrender to anybody. So just these random fallacious principles that are propagated. And the last one comes Asuram Bhavam Ashrita. So Krishna says that people who have taken shelter of demoniac nature, they are now completely opposite. They're atheists, and they say that there is no God. They even say in 16th chapter, Krishna says he gives qualities of demoniac nature. In the 16th chapter, it's interesting how Krishna, in four verses, he explains the qualities of gentle souls, people who have divine qualities. And then the rest of the chapter, that's around 20 more verses, all he talks about is demoniac people. So you can understand that what was he thinking about at that time. So there he says that in that one quality is that they think that that there is nothing, there's no basis for this world. They say kim anne kama hetu kam, that only a lust is the basis for this world. So all you have to do is just enjoy, satisfy your lust. So those are the category of people that Krishna talks about. But then in the very next slide, which is very very interesting for us and very hope-giving for all of us, is that he talks about Sukriti now. Now the prefix su in front of it makes it the people who have a good heart. And they can be of many different types. I put some pictures there. One could be that they're just distressed. They're being bashed around by this nature, by their mind, but they don't know what to do. And then they look up to some supreme source of energy, supreme being, and they want to know that, okay, what's going on? I want to understand this. And that's one class. And Krishna appreciates such people. Right? He calls them Sukritino. And they say bhajante maam, that they reach out to Krishna. Then there are other people who are desirer of wealth. So so in one way Krishna is saying desiring wealth is not the problem, but then getting over entangled in that concept of wealth is the problem. So if you come to me, you're asking for wealth, I'll give you what you need, but don't expect me to give you what you want. Our wants are unlimited, needs are limited. So those are the other kinds of people. Then he talks about people who are inquisitive. They just want to know what's going on here, And many people come to the temple, they just, want to see around. There are devotees dancing, and you see Prabhupada sitting there. And they just want to see. They're inquisitive. What's going on in the temple? Who are these people? They're dressed up. They have these beautiful tilaks, and who are these people? So they're inquisitive. And the last and the most important one, which Krishna actually further elaborates upon in the chapter, are the ones who are looking for knowledge of the absolute, right? So they are the ones who are actually the Sukritinos, and Krishna says that those are the ones that I love the most, because they are searching for absolute. And then eventually over time, because they're searching for the right thing, they will get it. It's just a matter of time. So now the Sukriti, now the question that would arise in somebody's heart is that where does this Sukriti come from? So where does this Sukriti come from? How do you get that? If that's the quality that one has, and then one can surrender to Krishna. So where does that come from? And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's one of the acharyas in the line, he mentions that there are many types of Sukritis. There are many types of Sukritis that have been mentioned. One of them I briefly hinted upon is that, opulence, material opulence. People have, done some karma in their past, and they have, they have gained that opulence. They have come to that point where now all that Sukriti has been accumulated, and now they have been paid back for that. And now you can see them, they are materially opulent, they are good looking, or they have some fame, or they have some power. So a lot of those qualities you see in many people. Then there is another kind of Sukriti where people tend to get detached from this material world. People who are looking for liberation. Over lifetimes, they have accumulated that piety that they can detach themselves from this world, which is a very, very hard thing to do. But the most important aspect of Sukriti, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur highlights, is about Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. And that's very rare. And what it means is that that only comes into being when somebody, comes in association with devotees, or does some service, and that service could be, knowingly or unknowingly. That doesn't matter. It's Sukriti. It's accumulated. Think of your heart as a bank account, where whenever you either associate with a devotee, or you serve a devotee, or you serve devotees in general, you see people, they are serving in the basement when we go for prasadam, and in general there are so many services that people are doing. So they're getting an installment in their heart. They're getting that installment in the bank account. And when that comes to a substantial amount, significant amount, then it brings Shraddha in their heart. And that's something that's the first step of bhakti. And it starts with Sukriti. And that Shraddha, the word Shraddha, it's very loosely translated in English as faith. But that doesn't do much justice to it. Unfortunately, many words that are in Sanskrit language, they don't have their counterparts in English. And Shraddha being one of them. So Shraddha is more of that accumulation of piety in our hearts. Whereas when you talk of faith, that's a very wispy, amorphous kind of a concept. You talk to somebody says, "Oh, I have faith," and they say, no, science doesn't know what faith is. You cannot put your finger to it, and the people then just don't, think much about it. But then Shraddha, what is being talked about here, is what's sitting in our heart. As they say, that heart is the seat of consciousness, and Krishna actually says that we all are made of Shraddha. Shraddhayo yam purusha. Talks about that in the 17th chapter, that we all are made of Shraddha. We all are made of the faith that we have inculcated over lifetimes. You see that many times with this world of social media, you can see people expressing their faith all around us 24/7. Some people go and stand out in the cold, and they have their banners standing, "Hey, then support my party," or "I support this party." So there's all sort of faith that we see around us. And that faith, when that builds up, then that Shraddha comes into our hearts, and we start understanding. We start taking interest in what's happening around us in terms of devotional service, and we see that I like what these people are doing. I want to get involved in this. What is this about? And then it's a kind of as I said, an accumulation in the heart. And once that reaches that significant point, then we become interested. It's a level of interest in bhakti, in the process of bhakti. And then once we have that Shraddha that's accumulated in our hearts, then the next thing that comes is sadhu sangha. So once you have that Shraddha, and you start looking around, okay, what do I do next now? I started coming to the temple, and then I start talking to people that, okay, what's the next step? What do I do? How do I live? How do I walk around? And it could be, interestingly, it's not just that people who are coming and seeing Radha Madhav and who know about Krishna are the ones who get that kind of Shraddha. We were at Rath Yatra recently, and I met this Muslim person who's practicing Islam, and he came to me and he was, very inquisitively, he was asking me that, I don't know what to do, I meditate, but I can never focus. And I could see that he had that amount of Shraddha that was needed to take to the next level. He said, I chant, he was wearing this Rudraksh beads, that itself is a big thing for a person practicing Islam, that, he was wearing Rudraksh beads. And he was really inquisitive. He says, I want to move forward. So it's not just that people who have been, born into a specific section in life get that kind of Shraddha. Anybody can happen. It could happen to anybody. And that's what Prabhupada always taught us, that it's not a religion. We're not practicing a religion here. It's a way of life that we are practicing. So then that person starts looking for sadhu sangha. And he comes to the temple. So what would you tell somebody who comes to the temple and he asks you, what should I do? What are the things that you would tell them? What comes to your mind that you would tell a new person that comes to you and say, I'm new here, tell me what should I do to get more involved? Yes, please. Yeah, talk to other devotees. Yeah, what else would you say to them? Engage in seva, yeah. My mind goes to eating, so I would tell them eat lot of prasadam. As they say, we are a kitchen religion, right? So we don't shy away from eating. Eat till you waddle like a duck, as they say. So you can eat a lot. So so some of the things that we would say to them. And then Rupa Goswami, who's an acharya, one of the 6 Goswamis coming from Vrindavan, he actually gave a very good principle for people who are just jumping into the sadhu sangha concept, who have moved from Shraddha and now they're really interested. And he says, Tena kena prakarena manha Krishna niveshayet. That some way or the other, you try to remember Krishna. And all the things that we just mentioned are meant for that purpose. You engage them in service, they're thinking about Krishna. They're washing pots, they're thinking about Krishna. They're eating prasadam, they're thinking about. So tena kena prakarena, by some way or the other, you just engage them in service, and you just help them remember Krishna. That's all you have to, that's all that a new person has to do. Prabhupada, interestingly, when Prabhupada started the movement, the first thing he did was he went to Tompkins Square Park and he started chanting there. And he started chanting, people liked that, and people came to him, they were dancing with him. Some of them came to the 26 Second Street, Second Avenue. They came to the temple and they listened to his Bhagavad Gita classes. Some of them got more interested and they said, Swamiji, what can we do for you? And they took a next step. They went into initiation. And Prabhupada used to feed them. They were so impressed by Prabhupada's genuine love and care that said, okay, yes, let's get initiated. And once they were initiated, then Prabhupada, the very next day, he put a notice on the door of the ashram saying that, okay, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and you have to listen to classes, you have to chant 16 rounds. But now they couldn't do anything. They were initiated already. But they already had the momentum that was needed to move forward. And so that was something that Prabhupada very practically taught us, that we just don't bombard new people with all the philosophy. It's about love. It's not about books and filling your mind up with Shastra. It's all about love. So that's when Sadhu Sangha starts happening. And then once we start interacting with devotees, we know what to do, where to move forward. And then the next step that comes in is Bhajan Kriya. So Bhajan Kriya is, we set a standard for ourselves. This is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to follow, have a set number of rounds that I'm going to chant, and do these set number of services that I'm going to bring in, and kind of try to be steady as much as I can. And it's not that it'll be perfect from day one. It's we all are struggling and just trying to move forward. But then that's the next step. We come to Bhajan Kriya. So bhajan, as you all know, service, and then kriya is the activity part. So we start getting engaged in that activity. And once we are in that bhajan kriya, everything is good till now, right? Everything looks nice, we're chanting, eating, dancing. But then the next step that comes in is anartha nivritti. And boy, what happens when you come into a discipline? What happens when you start following a discipline? So if I ask you that question, what is the first thing that happens to you when you start following a discipline? You make up your mind that I'm going to follow this. Anyone? Yes, set goals, follow through on those goals. Yes, Prabhu, you're saying? Yes, that's what happens. The obstacles comes. You set goals, you say, I'm going to follow them, and the next morning you can't wake up to do your chanting. I can't find my beads where I can't chant, So that's what the mind does to us. So my mind, whenever I think of my mind, I always think of a monkey who's drunk, and then he's been bitten by a scorpion. So just imagine the condition of that monkey. By nature, a monkey is very agile and he's jumping around, and then he's drunk, and then now he's been bitten by a scorpion. So that's the state of my mind. And 24/7, our mind is just trying to pull us in so many directions. And that's what happens. The picture that I put in here is of the so many vices that we have in our heart. We have lust, greed, we have envy, jealousy, so much. All these impediments start showing up. And actually, in any discipline that we follow, the first thing that we are actually, before we come to the discipline, is very much like unconscious incompetence. I don't even know how bad I am in that, right? It's unconscious. I'm not even conscious, and I'm good. I'm awesome. So that's unconscious incompetence. But then when I come to bhakti, and I realize that okay, I practice for some time. I've been associating with devotees. Thankfully, I've got some people who can show me the right path. Then I come to conscious incompetence. Now I know I'm bad. I know I have envy in my heart. And that's a big achievement for anybody who's come to that stage. I always tell myself, I cannot be envious. That person deserves this. That's the attitude. That's what my mind tells me all the time. That I deserve, that person deserves it. It's not my envy. No. I'm pure. I'm a perfect, I'm ready to go back home, back to Godhead. But when I realize that, no, I am incompetent. And that's where the whole, the cycle starts moving. That I realize that I have problems in me. And then the next step that comes to is conscious competence. That now I'm conscious that I'm doing right. I'm not falling off the bike anymore. See, nobody's holding me behind. I'm steady. I can, I don't have those extra tires in my bike, and it's just going steady. So now I'm conscious. I'm consciously competent now. And then finally a stage comes where we are unconsciously competent. And, you all, most of you must have drove in a car here, and we are unconsciously competent in driving. We do multitasking. I can listen to a lecture or listen to some music. I can talk to somebody in the car, and hopefully not texting. And so we can do so many things, right? It's unconscious competence. And so these are the stages where we come to whenever we try to follow a discipline. Those are the stages that we come to. And then eventually we come to a point where now we are competent enough. And that stage, when we have overcome all these anarthas. So anartha, the word anartha means that artha means value, anartha, that is without any value. So all the impressions that I have accumulated over lifetimes, unknowingly, I didn't even know that I had them sitting in my heart. And then I start, they start revealing themselves, and I start correcting them. So it becomes anartha nivritti. That's why it's called nivritti. So relief from unwanted things that I have accumulated unknowingly in my heart. So that's anartha nivritti. The next step that comes in is nishtha. Nishtha. So what happens? Rupa Goswami, he gives a beautiful analogy. He says that, you first thing, right? Talked about conscious incompetence. I know that I have a disease, then I go to a doctor, right? I go to a doctor. I see that she has a diploma on the board and on the wall, and okay, yes, a well-certified doctor, and the doctor gives me a medicine, right? So when I take that medicine, the first thing I notice is that nothing is happening for the first week or so. And Rupa Goswami gives the analogy of a person who is suffering from jaundice. He says that a person who is suffering from jaundice, the only treatment that person has is sugarcane juice. I can attest to it. I have gone through that. But the worst part is that sugarcane juice tastes bitter, extremely bitter. Similarly, in our bhakti process, when we come to anartha nivritti, we see all these things and we're trying to chant, we can't focus, we sit down, let's suppose we are doing 4 rounds, I do all the 4 and I have no taste. And it feels like, no, it's just a waste of time. But then when we keep doing that, so Rupa Goswami tells us that over time, that the bile, that has the bile of ignorance that has accumulated in my heart, that starts to go away. And when that starts to go away, what happens is that I start feeling the taste. The taste starts coming back to me. And that's the stage of nishtha. That's the stage where now I'm balanced, because I have got that value in my heart, that belief in my heart, that no, this is working for me. I have seen some taste, and I'm going to be steady now. I'm not going to fall off the path. And that's the path of nishtha. And Krishna gives another analogy in Bhagavad Gita about an ocean. In the rainy season, there are thousands of rivers that flow into the ocean, but then the ocean never, the ocean is always steady, and that's what happens at a stage of nishtha for a person. That we are no more being affected by whatever is coming to us. We all still have the demands of this body, but we are not disturbed by them, and that's the stage of nishtha happening to us. So, and then from nishtha, we have some more stages where now we have actually in the positive part. So till now, we were trying to come from the zero on a number line, from a negative on a number line, we're coming to the value 0 now. And now, from the 0, we're coming to positive. Now I actually have a taste. And my mind is actually interested in thinking about Krishna, about doing something, trying to get Krishna's attention. Because it's a two-way street, It's not just that Krishna is trying to have faith in me, I'm also trying to have faith in Krishna. So it's a two-way street. So now I have ruchi. And then eventually the stage comes when we go through that comes to prema, that we all are looking for, right? Prema. And that's what Mahaprabhu has come to give us. That's the essence of the whole process of bhakti that we're trying to follow. That Mahaprabhu has come to give us this prema, the love, right? And somebody can think of that Mahaprabhu is very much like an emperor who, emperors they're not under anybody's rule, right? They're not as if they're elected or anything. One day the emperor gets intoxicated and he goes to his treasury, fills up his bags with gems and precious jewels, and he goes out on the streets and starts throwing those jewels around. Nobody can stop him, he's the king. So similarly, Mahaprabhu has those gems. I talked about Sukriti in the beginning. He has that Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti, and worth infinite billions and billions of dollars that he's just giving out to everybody. All we need to do is just stretch our hand and ask him for it. And Mahaprabhu says through the pen of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he says, Inechi Aushadhi Maya Nashibaro Lagi. Says, I've bought the medicine for you. All you have to do is just take it and be cured of the bile that's in my mind and heart, and that which is making me feel that there's no value here. So he says, and what's the medicine that he's brought? He's brought Harinam Mahamantra Lao Tumi Magi. So that's the holy name that he's brought and giving us. And the word Magi means to ask, to beg. Any Bengali speakers here? Did I say it correct? Does that mean anyone? No Bengali speakers? Okay. So yes, so then that's fine if I make a mistake. No problem. So it means to ask. And that's all we need to do. Just stretch our hand and ask Mahaprabhu. And he has tons and tons of that sitting right there for us. And then what we get is called Abhishta Doham. Scriptures say Abhishta Doham is the happiness that we all have been looking for. So Abhishta Doham. So Abhishta Doham is the happiness that my heart's been looking for, life after life. I've been running after so much, chewing the chewed, just for that happiness. And once I get that happiness, Mahaprabhu has it and he's offering it to me. Not just Mahaprabhu, his followers, everybody, Prabhupada. Everybody is giving it. Prabhupada brought it to the Western world. He gave it to everybody. No discrimination, no qualification needed. All you have to do is just stretch your hand and ask for it. That's all. And Prabhupada was even a step beyond that. You don't have to. I will come to you and give it to you. You don't even have to ask me. He went and lived in the Bowery, with drug addicts, drunkards. And he just said, here I am, I'm giving it to you. So that's the essence that Mahaprabhu has come to give us. Abhishta Doham, the happiness that will, awaken our soul, awaken me. So I'll take a break here. we can have some more things, depending on the time we can or can. 5 more. Okay, okay. So let's just see if anybody has any questions now, and or any thoughts, any reflections. Reflections means anything that stuck out for you, that you thought was worthwhile for you to take home. Anything. Reflections. You never see them again.
But if you engage them, we have seen that people are engaging kitchen service downstairs
Yeah.
and become more and more steady, or some other services there. So I think it's very good. Or just loving service. Once they get familiar with somebody, just by this person received me nicely, they'll come again, and slowly keep coming again.
Yes, yeah, no, that's a very good point, Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah, it's not, people don't connect with an organization, they don't connect with a building, they just connect with human beings, because we are sentient beings, right? We can sense what the other person is doing, If you're just looking for, I'm just going to connect them for a reason, it's called, they have commissions breadth, you know people when they are looking for something, you can sense it. So when we connect with them genuinely and appreciate people genuinely, they are able to appreciate, they're able to connect with us. Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else on anybody's mind? Yes, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, the essence of all this is that it's mercy of a devotee, mercy of Krishna. It doesn't have, it's a causeless thing. It can happen to anybody, anytime. There's an example of Narad Muni. When he was a servant of son of a maid in his last life, his mother died, and then he was just wandering all across, and one day he was chanting, and he saw Krishna. So he was right there. He could see Krishna, but then Krishna saw him, kind of appeared in front of him and then disappeared. And he tried extremely hard to connect back, and he couldn't see Krishna. And then Krishna, kind of in his voice, just not coming there physically or in his person, he said that you can't see me now throughout this life because you're still not there yet. So he came to a level of bhava, that he could feel it, but then he couldn't stay there. So he still had to come back to all that practices. So it could be, so what I'm trying to say is that it's not necessarily a path is being followed there. It can happen, but this is a general path that's been assigned that generally people go through. It can happen to any way. Krishna doesn't need he's not under the rules and regulations of this material world. He can do whatever he wants to, whenever he wants. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, that's a very good point, Prabhu. Yes. At all the steps, it keeps increasing, Prabhu. It's very much like concentration, right? So sugarcane juice converts to sugar. Sugar converts to, in Hindi they call it mishri. From mishri you can go further. You go molasses. It keeps concentrating. And even prema, love, you can see that it keeps concentrating at multiple levels. You can have different levels of love for a person. Even in this material world, we see that. There are different levels of love that happen. So yes, it keeps concentrating. Yeah. Thank you. So take 5 more minutes here. So now the next question that came, when I was thinking about this class, the next question that comes to me is that, why is Mahaprabhu so merciful? Why is he giving so much mercy to us? I just told you that. He said, okay, I'm here. You just have to ask me, I'll give it to you. Why so much mercy for us? The reason is that we have a disqualification. And Mahaprabhu is converting our disqualification into a qualification, right? So the disqualification that we have in this Kali Yuga, which is the age of quarrel, and Srimad Bhagavatam tells us that this age, we are short-lived, alpa ayush. We are sumanda, we are lazy, we are misguided. And more importantly, we are disturbed. Just always think of that drunk monkey with a scorpion bite. So that's what we are. And Mahaprabhu understands that. He knows that we are going through that. So he makes our disqualification a qualification. And that's the amazing part there. I'm disqualified because I'm just right there in Kali Yuga. I'm the runt of the litter. And Mahaprabhu comes and says, okay, you were disqualified. I'm here to convert that to a qualification. And he converts it to a qualification for us. He makes it so freely available for us. Right? And not just him, the followers that come, they're even more merciful. Imagine Mahavira Prabhupada, right, coming all the way from India at the age of 70. He didn't need to come here. He was happy. He was in Vrindavan. He was ready to go back home. But he said, no, Mahaprabhu has told me something. My spiritual master has told me something. I'll go and give it to everybody. So that's the disqualification being converted to a qualification for all of us. And that's the mercy of Mahaprabhu. All we just need to do is stand in front of him and say that, Mahaprabhu, I'm yours. Please take care of me. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he quotes a verse from Ramayana, where when Vibhishan, when Vibhishan was coming to meet Lord Ram, all the Lord Ram's associates, Hanuman and all the other ones, they said, don't accept him. He's the brother of Ravan. And then Lord Ram said, Sakre Deva Prapanno Yas Tavasmiti Cha Yachyate. That even once somebody comes and surrenders to me sincerely, Abhaya Sarvada Tasmai, I take away all their fears. And I take care of them for forever and ever again. So that's the mercy of Mahaprabhu. That's the mercy of Krishna coming through Mahaprabhu for all of us. All we just need to do is stand in front of Mahaprabhu and say that for once. That I am yours, please take care of me. So, and that's why, given the intensity of our disqualification in this world, Prabhupada set the standard that whenever we chant the mantra of the Panchtattva before that, just so that we get the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and all the offenses are indemnified in the process of chanting. That's the purpose there. So, thank you very much. Thank you for patiently listening to me. Hare Krishna. If anybody has any last minute thing, thought in your mind, happy.